Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's been quite a while since I've managed to do any tech videos, and this one is a follow-up on the Monster XP/Vista Gaming rig that I ended up building a few months ago. Believe it or not, I have been using this machine quite heavily, especially to do my Far Cry 1 walkthroughs, but this is a follow-up of sort of loose hanging fruit. So here is sort of where the machine sits. I have tweaked a little bit from the previous videos, and that's starting with the storage. I have a pair of Western Digital Enterprise 750GB hard drives there. I managed to do a bit of cable management, sort of the best to my ability, to keep that fan behind the graphics cards free flowing, as well as swapped over the RAM to that Kingston kit. Even though these were labelled 4GB, they are meant to be put in pairs, so each of the sticks is 2GB in capacity, totaling 6. I did have a fourth pair, but it was faulty, so yeah, what can you do? But yeah, still kept with the SSD. I put the hard drives in a RAID, and they were a smaller capacity, which meant Windows XP was a lot happier. But yeah, sadly, one of the things that did not survive was the sound card, which I'll get into a little bit later. Turns out it was new in box and faulty in box, so that was great. Here's the rear I/O, looking pretty sharp. I robbed the sound card from my main PC, which is an Audigy RX card, which unfortunately doesn't have drivers for XP or Vista, but there's a driver pack I used to find that. Front of the case is pretty normal as well. Front I/O is all wired up. I've got the CD drive and floppy disk drive still in there, and I kept the front panel header from this Recon 3D Fatality card. So here is the original card. This is one I actually had a bit of a poke around to see if I could get it going, but sadly it just pops from the audio ports when you plug a headphones into it, or speakers. So I went on eBay and found this one, which is the same part number on the back, but doesn't have that front panel header. There are actually a few revisions or multiple versions of this card, both with the same Sound Blaster part number, so that was very, very frustrating. Seems this is kind of a special edition in itself that has this front panel header. The other thing I noticed, which I should have straight away, given it's on the side of the box, is the compatibility of this card. Very specific to Windows 7, not even Vista. So even the card that I got off eBay still didn't work on half of the operating systems installed on the machine, so that was very frustrating. So I'm sticking with the Audigy RX, which is actually newer, but ironically has some sort of aftermarket driver pack which I found online. And I'm just using one of these HD audio header cables as sort of like an extension. And what my plan is to use half of the cables that should go to that front panel drive bay audio thingy-majiggy. And basically I'm just going to extend it to that sound card so I can actually, utilize the half of the product that I bought. Even though the most I can really do is plug headphones into the front of the computer. Eventually I'm going to have to come up with a better sort of sound card solution, one that works and one that's compatible. But for now, at least this makes me feel a little bit better that I didn't just totally waste my money, which I definitely did. Yeah. This is what happens when you mess around with old computers. It's easy to get burned sometimes. But just, plugging this into the front panel header on that sound card and figuring out where to reroute the cables, sorted that all out. So I'm just going to do some basic cable management, and that's good to go. moving on to the operating systems, I have Windows XP Pro Service Pack 4, I think it's 4 on this, installed. Got some applications and things like that. Of course, being a 32-bit OS, I don't have access to the full 6GB of RAM, but that's okay. Everything seemed to install without issues once I got that RAID issue sorted. So yeah, there is a drive capacity limit. Also making sure I was using the right RAID controller headers on the motherboard was important as well. Sticking with the Intel one, of course. All the drivers are installed. Yeah, I've actually been using Windows XP quite a fair bit on this machine, playing Far Cry. It's quite interesting actually when I was doing these benchmarks. I'll get into later the differences between XP and Vista, but for the most part I've been using XP as it has and can play majority of the games that I have installed on this machine. But yeah, nothing too fancy installed. That's about it. As for the Vista side, I'm rocking the Vista Ultimate package that I bought online. I had to use a weird activation system to activate it because of course Microsoft's shut down those servers, or at least the SSL doesn't work properly on them. I forgot how much I miss the sidebar widget. It's just a little bit of fun, even though it's mostly clutter. Still pretty cool. You can see our i7-950, our full 6GB of RAM. I've pretty much just called it the same machine, which is fittingly called the Space Heater. Yeah, there's our 2 video cards, onboard networking and audio, the Sound Blaster Audigy RX, which is actually a pretty mediocre sound card, but in the modern age from Creative, that's what you've got to work with. I quite like this little sound player here. It's pretty nifty, even though I'd never use it. It would have been cool back in the day. And yeah, a little network monitoring tool that just pings whatever IP address or DNS name that you pop in there, which is good. Doesn't seem to move much on my router, of course, because the latency plugged in with LAN is very low. Might be lucky to see 1 millisecond response time. Yeah, process monitor above that. We've got a little photo slideshow utility, standard Windows clock, and CPU memory monitor. There is quite a large pack which I downloaded as well to get all of these, so it's pretty easily available on the web still to download it. But yeah, other than that, nothing too out of the ordinary. Just all the usual stuff that you get with Windows Vista. I do love this background actually, it's always been my favourite Vista background. So I'm going to get into some benchmarks and things like that, and I'm pretty much going to start with 3D Mark 2006. But yeah, flat out, just to break the machine in here on the XP side of things. If you haven't played Flat Out, I'd highly recommend it. It's a really fun little game actually. I love the physics of the car, where you can drift it around. I've kind of got to talk over this because I have no idea if this music is copyrighted, but it's quite fun being able to bully some of the cars around a little bit. One of them I crashed into and managed to secure first place, so, you know, winners are grinners, as they say. But yeah, recommend it if you haven't played it. I especially love the ragdoll effects as you go flying out of the windshield. Kind of almost wished GTA kind of made them a bit more dummy-like this, because it's, you know, a good bit of fun. But yeah, Flat Out, this is just the demo. You can find it online, of course, or GOG, places like that. I've actually got it from GOG, and yeah, would recommend it as a bit of fun. Heaps of little challenges, not just races as well. You can do stunts and things like that. As I said, starting with XP, I'm going to sort of blitz through some of the benchmarks. You'll see them running side by side as they kind of go along with SLI, non-SLI, so you can get a visual representation of what's going on. And then after these benchmarks, I've got just a few graphs which I can run through as well, which have everything sort of laid out a lot more simpler. So yeah, starting with 3D Mark 06, moving on to Fear, and then Crisis. I just picked 3. I'm not going to town, this is not scientific, and I just wanted to see what the differences between SLI was, as well as operating systems. You know, the same games running under Vista versus XP. The one thing I do sort of take away from this is that if you've got a machine that's sort of a overkill for Vista, that operating system overhead is almost non-existent. In fact, you do gain some interesting benefits here. So yeah, we'll just run through them. As I said, I'm not going to show every benchmark, but yeah, this will give you guys a bit of a taste of how the machine's performing. Yeah, very interesting watching XP try and push through Crisis with the SLI enabled. It doesn't seem to be very optimized for it. But we'll move on to the cold hard facts, and this is the 3D Mark 06 results. Very interesting. It seems that Windows XP preferred having SLI disabled, while Vista, preferred to have it enabled. And I did double check my SLI disabled stats with Vista. I did a few runs here, so you can see we net the most results with Vista SLI enabled, and I think that might be due to the fact it's a 64-bit version of the OS. And also has more memory support. Moving on to Fair, you can see we have an average of 406 frames, takes the top score with Vista and SLI enabled. So basically, if you want the best gaming for Fair, Windows Vista, SLI enabled is the way to go. XP does yield a few extra FPS as well, but Vista without SLI, also a pretty strong result. Crisis, the big one, excuse me, 89 FPS. This is a title that prefers to have SLI disabled on both operating systems. This is the 32-bit version, of course, DirectX 9, because XP only supports that. Vista supports DirectX 10 and 64-bit, so I tested that as well, so it nets us some more actual interesting results. The top score and the highest FPS resulted from Vista with SLI disabled, running under 64-bit mode and DirectX 10 mode. So DirectX 10 modes in Vista yielded the highest frames, followed closely by 32-bit mode under Vista, DirectX 9 disabled. And I suspect that's literally just due to the fact, as I said, 64-bit version, 6GB of RAM, and better multi-core support, and probably a better NVIDIA driver supporting better SLI performance. So make of that what you will. If you've got the overhead on enough power in the machine to run Vista, then it seems to yield better game results. Looking at the power draw of the machine, this is it here at idle, which I'll kick off a benchmark very shortly. 400 and something odd watts when running the Crisis benchmark. I have seen it get up to about 450, 460 maybe. Other than that, that seems to be the most I can get out of it. Not too bad. It has been waiting to be peeled for this video for a few months now. But yeah, that pretty much wraps up the machine, other than that sound card issue, which I'll need to figure out a solution for. I've been using the machine pretty much all the time to play the Far Cry 1 walkthroughs, which I've been recording. It's been playing all my games. I haven't used Vista a whole lot. I've been doing most of my gaming under XP, but yeah, it's been working a treat. It's a pretty big powerhouse. But yeah, that's it for now. Just wanted to wrap this video up, come to a conclusion, and just show some interesting result differences between the two operating systems, SLI enabled and disabled, because let's face it, not a lot of people had a lot of free money back in the day to actually play with this stuff, so now I get the chance and opportunity to, so why not? Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll be doing more retro content soon because I've got a backlog of stuff. And thanks again for watching, and yeah, hope you guys enjoy. Alrighty, bye for now.